Hey everybody, I'm back again. Doing what I'm doing, Doc York in the building. Represent BK all day, represent the Waboo. What? Talking about what we do. Hey, all for you. Right. We're going to go back. We're reading this book here. It's called L's Holy Quran. Just I know you got your copy, and if you don't got your copy, we can still work it out. As they say, brother's going to work it out in defense of the woman who is the tribal leader. Never forget that. Okay? Now, I have read some things to you. Again, we're going to go over it because reading it one time is not going to cut it. So we're basically up to the things where we're talking about the promises that is made in the Quran and how the book is basically updated and needs to be straightened out. And those who took it thought they had a gold mine. They thought they'd be able to use it against us. Now, they are using it against those people who's acting stubbornly and acting like they don't know what's going down. But the main thing what's going down is the promises of the Quran is obsolete. It doesn't promise women anything, and all that is for a reason, because it was written by a man, which they say the Prophet Muhammad or Nabi Muhammad or Prophet Muhammad Al-Amin. But certain things like the wearing of silk, it promised you that. It promised you raised thrones, good weather, bunches of fruit, and all that. Basically, you can obtain that on earth. And first it points out the fact that in Islam, men are allowed to have up to 4 wives, and in some cases more. Men are allowed to choose from a number of wives, and the women have no say-so. To the point being, Muslims already have their matings right here on earth, and it goes on that. I've read that in another series, so we're not going to go over that. We are going to go over the fact that Islam asks you to forget about the middle passage, and I'm going to teach you about the middle passage. The middle passage is the transportation of slaves from Africa to America. It asks you to forget about the lives that were lost before, during, and after slavery. Okay? The middle passage is the transportation of slaves from Africa to America. And Islam asks you to forget about the lives that were lost before, during, and after slavery. It asks you to forget about the injustice and the travesties that our ancestors endured. People like Harriet Tubman, who risked her life for freedom. And asks you to forget the genocide such as AIDS and the Tuskegee experiment, where Nubians were injected with syphilis for over a period of 40 years. It asks you to forget the subliminal seduction and inferior complexes that have been put into the minds of Nubians worldwide. It asks you to forget the hanging and the castration. It asks you to forget the KKK, which is the Ku Klux Klan, the lynchings, and the way Nubians were treated worldwide. Just reflect back for a minute to the Rodney King beating in 1993 AD. It asks you to pretend that there is no racism in Islam. Arabs come over to America saying no more racism, but it's easy for them to say that because they never had to endure racism. But ask a Palestinian Muslim about the Jews, he hates them. Ask the Iraqians about the Correctians, he hates them. Ask the Afghanistans about the Russians, and the Bosnia about the Croatians, and they all hate other races for what they did to them. But us Nubians are being told it's wrong to hate the Caucasian for what he did, and is still doing to us. If any Nubian who tells you he forgot all the suffering and pain and all of the history, he is lying. It asks you to forget, it asks you to ignore reality. It asks you to ignore scientific facts. It creates its own geography in a nutshell and asks you to have blind faith, and simply the blind leading the blind. It asks you to ignore the reality. It asks you to ignore scientific facts. It creates its own geography in a nutshell. It asks you to have blind faith, or simply to the blind leading the blind. So in order to get our people out of this spellbinding religion, we couldn't merely study it and talk about it. We had to get inside of it, live in Islam, and become a part of it, and make it one of our schools in the way to Nawabu, and then wake up our people to the true past and bring it to the present. We go back way before 1400 years, and you cannot convince me that acknowledging my ancestors, be they Anu, Enlil, Tammuz, Horus, Isis, and Re, is idol worship, while you remember dead individuals such as caliphs, companions, and the writers of your hadith, and even have pictures thrown in your books and statues of them in Islamic countries. I say we simply give you back your isms, and I will spend the rest of my days waking up the children of Nawabu and the Nawabians and getting them away from the ignorance disguised in any religion. Regardless of what kind of Muslims you call yourself, you don't even agree on one path they say they lead you to. Even the Quran of today's Muslims can't agree on the correct translation. Each sect claims that they have their most accurate. They can't even agree on how to spell Muhammad's name in English. From sect to sect, you find Muhammad Muhammed, Mohmmed, Mohamed, Mohamed. Now let's take a look at the definition of the name Muhammad according to the Muslims, named by Fatima Susan Al-Jafari in 1977. The Prophet Muhammad means praise according to the Book of Muslims name. Azilza Hamid, 1983. The Prophet Muhammad names mean praiseworthy and commendable. In the Dictionary of Islam by Thomas Patrick Hughes, the Prophet Muhammad means the praised one. According to these various names, the Prophet Muhammad is defined as praise. The Prophet Muhammad's name at birth, which was Ahmed, means praiseworthy, when it should have been one who praises, because according to Muslims, only Allah is worthy of praise, which is his 56th attribute, Al-Hamidu, meaning the all praiseworthy. Thus, Muhammad's name should have been Abdul Hamid, servant of the praiseworthy. This is how you know Muslims are Prophet Muhammad's worshippers, and they place the Prophet Muhammad's name next to Allah in the kalima. They are actually saying some praise is due to Allah and some praise is due to Muhammad. Yes, that is called shirk, idolatry, binding partners, something that Muslims do every time they call the Adhan and recite the kalimat. According to Quran 4th Surah 48th ayat, shirk is a sin that is not to be forgiven. Allah forgiveth not that partners should be set up with him, but he forgiveth anything else to whom he pleases. To set up partners with Allah is to devise a sin most heinous indeed. So as you can see, they have taken a step further by ascribing the attributes of Allah to Muhammad. The Prophet Muhammad. When the statement was made that no one can produce a book like the Holy Quran, it was talking about the original Quran that the Prophet Muhammad received. Hello?
Hey.
Hey, you live on air.
I'll call you right back.
Alright.
Alright.
Now As I've said before, the argument can only be understood by 1% of the Muslim world, because only 10% of the Muslim world speak Arabic, which is really sad. 1% of the 10% understand classical Arabic enough to read the Quran properly. Most Arabs that speak Arabic speak a bad dialect, and even the educated ones have not been fortunate enough to understand the Arabic of the Quran. They made the grammar so complicated that not even they understand it in modern day Quran. Therefore, people like Ahmed Didat, who doesn't speak Arabic, will truly never know the challenge that has been met by Christians. As we go on and speaking, because you can read this, you can see this in the other ones that I've written for you. It talks about that these scholars have translated the Ashuric or Syriac Arabic, the word Jamian, as you all, and have you thinking that it means the whole world. The word Jamian does not mean you all. It comes from the root word Jamia, which means he gathered together. A gathering is more like a group of people from the whole world as opposed to the whole world itself. If it was for the whole world, which is the word Alameen, as in Rabbi Alameen, they translate it Lord of the Worlds in the Holy Quran 56 Surah 80th ayat. Then there is Dunya for a world in Quran 42nd Surah the 20th ayat. And if Allah meant for the all world to receive and understand the new holy book, there would have been a new language created right there, not just the Quraysh dialect, but one that everyone on the whole world would understand, rather than translate the Quran and lose the true meanings. Hence, this quote is referring to a particular group of people. In this case, the Ishmaelites were the people who Muhammad was sent to. In Quran 3rd chapter, 110th verse, Quran 89th chapter, 10th verse, and Quran 64th chapter, the 58th verse. However, in the Quran 3:103, the word Jamian is used by this time. The implication is that they are speaking about Allah's Ummah, or Jamiat, community, which does not include the Christians, the Buddhists, the Hindus, or anyone else who is not Arab, etc. The Holy Quran, the 3rd Surah, the 103rd ayat says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and hold fast altogether by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and not be divided amongst yourselves. So don't let them tell you that the word Jamian means the whole world. The same way Jesus was sent to his people, the lost sheep of the house of Israel, Matthew 10 chapter 6 verse, Matthew 15 chapter 24 verse, and Matthew 18 chapter 11 verse. So was the Prophet Muhammad. Every nation was sent a warning. Quran 10th Surah 97th ayat, Quran 71st Surah 2nd ayat, and Muhammad was sent to the Arabs. Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. The Prophet Muhammad was only universal because what he taught could be applied by the people around the world, but he was not sent to all people on earth. The Quran will sit down in the Quraysh dialect to a specific tribe of people. However, the Quran could serve as a warning and guidance for the whole world. I repeat, Muhammad would not be speaking to the Jews. Muhammad would not be speaking to the Europeans. Muhammad would not be speaking to the Chinese. Muhammad would not be speaking to the Hindus that call themselves Arabs today, etc. Only the descendants of Ishmael, and that's in Genesis the 25th chapter in the 12th verse. who was Abraham's first son by Hagar, Genesis the 16th chapter, the 15th verse, daughter of Enhotep. Muhammad was not a universal prophet and was not sent to the whole world who were Nubians. It clearly states the Arabic word Qawm, meaning kindred, but in the English translation the word Qawm is not translated as kindred, it is translated as those who have faith, which in Arabic is Alladhina Yu'minuna. The Quran, 7th Surah, 188th ayat says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, I am a warner and a bringer to glad tidings to those who have faith. And that is a Yusuf Ali translation. Muslims will use this quote to support their beliefs that Muhammad was sent to the world by mistranslating it. Anybody can have faith in Islam, but the question is, are you from the tribe which Muhammad was sent to warn? According to the Heritage Dictionary, kindred means a group of related persons as a clan or tribe, used with a verb, a person's relatives, a kinfolk, or kinfolks of the same ancestry or family, kindred clans having a similar or related origin, nature, or character. Ask any Arabic-speaking Muslims, why is it that the word Qawm, used in the Holy Quran 224 when speaking about Moses and his people? Holy Quran 23rd Surah 23rd ayat speaks about Noah and his people. Holy Quran 26:11 speaks about the Pharaoh and his people. The Holy Quran 27:54 speaks about Lot and his people. The Quran 29:16 speaks about Abraham and his people. And in all these quotes, the word Qawm, Qawm, is translated correctly in English as his people or kindred. But when it comes to the Quran 7188, it mistranslated in the English as yourself. Why is it this so? Ask yourself, why is this so? The same effects upon the Quran. The Quran was not sent to the entire world. If the Quran was sent to the whole world or universal, it too would have been revealed in a universal language. Further confirmation that the Quran was sent only to a specific group of people are in the following quotes. Quran 14 Surah 4th ayat, Quran 41 Surah 3rd ayat, when it says, we sent not a messenger except to each in the language of his own people in order to make things clear to them. In Muslims' own hadith, they even say that the Quran was revealed in the Quraysh dialect. Even as far back as the 17th century, there were inscriptions found in the magazine called Aramco World. The September-October 1989 AD issue reads, the Prophet Muhammad al-Hadi, meaning the Prophet Muhammad is the guide. Al-Hadi is the 94th attribute of Allah, which means the guide to them. The word Al-Hadi comes from the root word Huda, which according to the Lane's Arabic English lexicon means to calm, still, motionless. They'll use one of Allah's name and they are attributed to a human, which the Quran 7th Surah 180th ayat and 59th Surah the 24th ayat tells you not to do it. It does not say Muhammad was Wa al-Hadi, which would read Muhammad and the guide. However, without the Wa, they are saying Muhammad is the guide, which I repeat is one of Allah's names. To call Muhammad al-Hadi is to call him Allah. Muslims have worshipped the Prophet Muhammad for so long that they have a list of 104 attributes for him, and most of them consist of Allah's attributes, putting the Prophet Muhammad and Allah on the same level. They are also to use the name Allah for Allah as the female gender of Allah in Quran 53:19. Yet, at the same time, scholars dispute the meaning of Allah. They claim that it was the idol Lat, that was a man who lived on a rock near Taif and used to entertain the pilgrims to Mecca with barley, drinks, and food. When he died, the people built a shrine to him on the same rock and began worshiping him. According to Jarir Tabari, originally this was Alat Hatun, which became Alat. The word Alat simply means female source. Now take for instance the Kalimat, which according to World Quran Arabic dictionary means a word, an expression, a proposition, a sentence, a saying, an argument, an assertion, expression of opinion. The word Kalimat was taken from the Syriac translation of the New Testaments of John 1, and I quote, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God." In the right translation, the word Kalimat, which is the saying or the word, and is a mistranslation in the Bible, is La ilaha illallah. Nothing would create if Allah didn't create it. This creed was innovated to Quran. The Kalimat was taken from two different verses of the Quran, which aren't found together anywhere. An example of this is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is a messenger of Allah. Muslims call this Kalimat Tayyibah, the best word. This is not found written like this anywhere in the Quran. However, they are found in several verses, but they are broken in two parts. They are never together as one sentence. La ilaha illallah is found alone in Quran 37th chapter, 35th verse. For they, when they were told that there is no God except Allah, would puff themselves up with pride. And in Quran 47th surah, the 19th ayat, and I quote in part, "Know therefore that there is no God but Allah, and ask forgiveness for thy fault." Muhammad Rasulullah is found alone in Quran 33:40. Muhammad is not the father of any of you men, but he is the apostle of God, Allah, and the seal of the prophets. Also in Quran 48:29, and I quote in part, Muhammad is the apostle of Allah, and those who are with him are strong against unbelievers. This is how it is written in the Quran of the Muslims. They are never found in the same place. Yet the flag of Saudi Arabia, which is where the Holy of Holies sit in Mecca, has the same declaration, the Kalimat Tayyibah, written on it. Many of the Islamic books, posters, and leaflets don this man-made verse. However, if you or I were to take two verses from the Quran and put them together to create one sentence like La ilaha illallah, and they would call it shirk, and they will have a heart attack saying astaghfirullah, hum min al-kafrun, meaning seek forgiveness of Allah, they are disbelievers, or they will seek to kill you. The only reason why Muslims call the declaration Kalimat Tayyibah the best word is because it exalts Muhammad by putting his name next to their God, Allah's name. They have taken one of the definitions of the Kalimat, which is an expression of opinion, to justify their saying that the Kalimat Tayyibah should be the one to be expressed. It really should be called Kalimat al-Nabi, which is Muhammad Rasulullah, or the word of the Prophet, not the best Kalimat. Then you have what they call the Kalimat Shahada, which is Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, which you falsely translate as I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. but this really means I watch that there is no God but Allah. The word shahada is definitely as a testimony, is defined as a testimony to witness, evidence, disposition, state, attest. Shahada comes from the Syriac Arabic root word shahada, meaning to watch, to witness, to see personally with one's eyes. In Quran 6 Surah 75th ayat of the Abdullah Yusuf Ali translation, the word shahada is mistranslated as open, where it says, and I quote, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, you know the unseen as well as that which is open, for he is the wise, well acquainted with all things. According to the Webster Unabridged Dictionary, the word witness in the English language means a person who saw, to give evidence, to testify. The same word is used when referring to watching television, which means you are admitting that they can see Allah. According to Muslims, that is blasphemy. Then they add wahadu la sharika lahu, he is alone and has no partners, to the kalimat shahada to come up with the kalimat at-tawheed. This kalimat is another innovation by Muslims because it is also not mentioned in the Quran. The word tawheed is not even found in the Quran. The word tawheed means aloneness, and when they recite the kalimat, they are supposed to be stating that they have faith in Allah only. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. He is alone and has no partners. The wa is from wahid, meaning one, la meaning no, sharik meaning partners. So what Muslims are implying is la, he doesn't have any ashhabahu, meaning companions, or mithalla, meaning likeness, or shabaha, which is the root word for yashbahu, meaning anyone who looks like him. But what you mean is shahaba or shadiq, friends, but not la sharika lahu, he has no partners. This is being misused. The word sharik is derived from the word sharika, meaning partnership of a corporation or associates, and they have to constantly say that Allah is alone. Why is it necessary? If Allah was the one and only God, wahdahu la sharika lahu, should not have to be said. It should be a known fact. Making this a mere statement is admitting that Allah is not alone, and Quran 15:26 through to 27 prove this when it says, and I quote, we created man from sounding clay, from mud molded into shape, and the jinn race we have created before from the fire and the scorching wind. The kalimat al-tawheed, which is ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu, is supposed to be the first of the 5 pillars of faith. However, this so-called first pillar is really 2, which makes 6 pillars of faith, not 5. Pay close attention to the following. Muslims add to the kalimat at-tawheed Muhammad Rasulullah. If you look at the declaration, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, which translate as I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and He is alone, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, you will see that it's really 2 complete thoughts. This is where the mistake comes in, where you make a statement in any language. The central character of the noun is the thought. The thought of the sentence La ilaha illallah is complete. You are talking about Allah. He is alone and is the creator. But once you add another human being or object to the sentence, the name Muhammad, and praise Rasulullah, Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, then you have created another sentence.